Hey guys, welcome back to Moose on the Loose. We've got a video here of Justin Trudeau putting on a full-on pout fest because he doesn't get introduced. This is it here, the worst prime minister in history. So he's at one of his housing accelerator funds, which I'm going to break down after this clip, just so we get the straight numbers here. But this housing accelerator is, they stated it's going to build 250,000 extra houses over 10 years. And this is one of his photo ops in Vancouver. Take a look.
I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we are on the unceded territory of the Coast Salish First Nations, the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations.
And first off, also note too, from the ministers here, at least the ones I know, you got Sean Fraser, who's the housing minister. You've got Jonathan Wilkinson. He's the Minister of Energy and Minerals. And then you've got the kingpin himself here wearing this puff and his fresh kicks. JT.
It's wonderful for me personally to be back here in my hometown, Vancouver, with my colleagues, Minister Jonathan Wilkinson, members of Parliament Wilson Mao, Tal Mohammed, Parham Bains, and also Minister Sean Fraser as well, alongside with my provincial colleagues, Minister Collo, and also our Mayor, Ken Sims. And we're here to deliver... I'm here too. Oh. And the Prime Minister,
You are introducing me.
True, yeah, exactly. Yeah, just wait. We'll wait for it. I got it done, okay? All right, see you. What do I have to work with? No, it's really exciting. You know, this is...
It's so cringe, and like, the look on his face, man, like, just screams... Oh, it's full-on narcissist, man. Like, all he cares about is being introduced. He doesn't care about the people sleeping in tents on the streets. He cares about being introduced on the photo op. I'm number one. I'm Mr. Important. Blah, blah, blah. You can see the mayor here. I'm pretty sure this is the mayor of Vancouver. He doesn't look too impressed. And then they just go on to babble some bit here.
Some really great news for Vancouver, and why I was saving the Prime Minister for the last, okay? The Housing Accelerator Program, and we know that it's already helped unlock over 250,000 of new homes over the next decades for Canada. And starting today, this will include Vancouver. Now we're getting more homes built for Canadians.
Okay, so we're going to talk about this. And first off, whoever's operating this camera, like, what's with that zoom shot? Like, that's far too close. Anyways, we're going to break down the numbers here because this is ridiculous. So they just stated the government accelerator is building 250,000 extra houses over the next 10 years. Now remember this guy, Sean Fraser, our housing minister? This guy's a useless fool and should be fired. So we just do some basic math. The builders of Canada build around 240,000 houses per year, and it's gone up and down a little bit, but that's kind of the average. So that's how many new houses are being built in Canada. Now, the price of housing is directly affected by the supply and demand. And the demand is affected by four things. Canadians having babies. So if our population's increasing, then obviously kids move out and want to buy a house, etc. If you have a household with a couple of kids, etc. If you have immigration, if you have foreign home buyers, and if you have foreign students looking for housing. And the foreign students, it gets complicated because do they stay or do they go back home afterwards? But they need housing regardless when they're here, and there's a lot of them. So we're going to look at the immigration here. This chart here is one of immigration from 1852 to 2014. Now, if you look across here, there's this huge boom right here, 400,000. This is World War I or just after World War I. And then it goes down and then it kind of goes back up. Then you've got the Great Depression, and it kind of, you know, around here was floating around 100,000, then boom, it goes up to about 250 and then it goes down. It averages all the way up to 2012. I don't know why this says 2014. Maybe the last one's here, 2014. But it's 240,000. Now, if we go over to the next slide we've got here, this is the updated numbers past then. So that chart ended here. And you can see here, 240, 260, 270, 200. It's basically about 240. Now, Justin Trudeau gets elected right here at this bump, 2015, 2016, and immediately he jacks up the immigration to 323,000 people per year. Now, why is this important? Because once again, Canada was building about 240,000, 250,000 houses per year. It's 250,000. And if we have immigrants coming in at that exact rate, we're already at a deficit because there's foreign students who need housing. There's foreign buyers buying up our houses for no reason. It's stupid. We shouldn't have that, period. Or at least we should have reciprocal. So if we can only buy a condo in say Thailand, you can only buy a condo you can't buy anything with actual land, then we should have that same rule for Thais wanting to buy here. But anyways, and for say like China, we can't go over to China and buy property. No one in China should be able to come over here and buy property. It should be reciprocal to the country. But anyways, so we're already at a deficit because those two things plus Canadians having kids. So now we have those three factors working against us to increase the price of housing. Now, if you go through here, it works out to be like some of these are higher, some of these lower. This was COVID, so then we brought in 226,000 people, 313. It works out to be about 60,000 more people per year after Trudeau got into power than it was before him. And then what's this huge bump? His miraculous decision to bump it up to 500,000 people per year. 500,000. So the next slide here, we've got the multiple different factors with immigration is what we're looking at here, but there's Canadian children as population grows, so will the demand on the housing, there's foreign students, and then over here, foreign investors. There's also foreign workers. So those are all the main ones, but the immigration is the biggest one, and the numbers do not lie. So Sean Fraser, if you're watching this, buddy, pull out a notepad and pen, take some notes. I know you're not very good with the numbers and all this kind of stuff regarding housing and all that. So just feel free, buddy. It'll help you out. So we got here the years 2015. That's when Justin Trudeau was elected, and then we got all the way down to 2026 because that's when the government, the Liberal government, has forecasted out. So we have the numbers, what they're thinking, and so here are the numbers. Immigration. So on average, it's bounced around, but on average, we're just saying that the Trudeau government brought in 300,000 a year because it went up and down a little bit here and there, and which is 60,000 more than usual. The usual was 240,000, and now we're 60 more thousand for those years. And then we got to COVID year, which is this one, 260,000. So it was only an extra 20,000 that year. And then once we get down here, the Trudeau government bumped it up to 500,000, 500,000, 500,000. And they've already stated that, projected that out all the way to 2026 at 500,000 people every year, which is an extra 260,000 people per year from 21, 22, and 23. That's why things have gotten so bad so quickly the last 3 years. So what do we have here? This is us today, right here, 1.1 million. That's how many extra people in Canada we did not plan for. That was over the status quo. So the status quo is 240,000 houses per year. That's how many houses per year the builders in Canada build, 240,000. So Canada roughly brings in 250,000 people and roughly builds 250,000 houses. That's around 240,000, which is why we've been at the status quo, plus these other factors, the foreign students, the foreign workers, foreign buyers, and Canadians having children. So that's why it's been slowly getting more expensive over time, which is what we saw with that other graph. Now, this is why it's skyrocketed, because 21, 22, and 23, we've brought in almost 800,000, a little less than 800,000 extra people, and that just cranks the prices. The Liberal government is bringing in the rich people with great minds, people who have money from other countries, which actually hurts those other countries. They should be in their countries making their countries more prosperous. Obviously, it's up to people to decide, but either way, it's good for Canada, except we don't have the houses, so it makes our poorer people suffer badly. And this is a conscious decision. The Liberals are consciously punishing the people with less money by doing this. You can't say anything otherwise. I'm sorry, Sean Fraser. You're terrible. You're really bad. Like, this is decisions that you've made, and either you could stand up and push back against Trudeau and have a backbone, or be a slimy little snake like you are and doing nothing. So and take your notepad out again, buddy, because we're going to go through some more numbers here. So this is, we jump into 2024, 500,000, 500,000, 500,000, and this number here just shows how bad the situation gets. So right now, the food prices, with the carbon tax, with the housing, with everything compounds, we're at 1.1 extra. The housing situation is going to get worse. Now, it might just level off and be as equally as terrible as it is today, because a bunch of people start leaving, whether it's Canadians or immigrants, who knows. But if we add up all this, it's 4.7 million extra people in Canada. Now let's look at this down here. This is how many houses are built in Canada every year. 240,000. We times that by 10, because this whole video started off with the housing accelerator. Justin Trudeau said 250,000 extra houses being, accelerated by the government. If you look at the numbers, that's actually pathetic. So we multiply that by 10, 2.4 million. So the builders of Canada, the home builders, they built 2.4 million houses over the next 10 years. That's what they will build, 2.4. You add in this piddly little housing accelerator, 250,000, that brings us to 2,650,000 houses that will be built in the next 10 years. If we look at the immigration projections, it will be 5 million people brought in. If you take 5 million and minus this, we're at an extra 2,350,000 people extra who will not have homes. You taking the notes, Sean Fraser? Did you get that down? Did you get that? It shouldn't come down to some no-name guy on YouTube doing the math for you, big guy, but there it is. Just write this down. And you know what that also doesn't include right here? Plus foreign workers, foreign home buyers, foreign students, and the Canadian population growth, which will make this number worse. Thank you very much. This is not hard, man. This is basic math. I don't know why you're not doing it. Yeah, the Liberals got to go. Just worthless and don't care about Canadians. So hope you guys stay fed, stay warm. I'll see you in the next one.